Hi, this is Denise Matthew. Hope you're doing well. Back again for another week of the transits. And this week I'm going to do an abbreviated version of the transits because I am celebrating my birthday and I was going to have some family time. And I was not going to do it at all. Then I thought there's too many things happening, so I couldn't just leave it for the week. So let's go through it. I'm just going to go through dates and some energy, you could say energy alerts of what we're going to be having this week, because we do have an interesting week coming up. We've got a big nodal change, like I talked about last week. And we also have a new moon. So lots happening. Like I said, it's nice to have some heads up on what exactly we're going to be having this week. So we're starting out the week with the tribal energy of the 4037, the opposition, which I talked about. And that is really about community, family, traditions, those types of things. There could be a pressure to want to work for your family. But having said that, there could also be this idea, because we do have a opposition between the 40 and the 37, two very different energies. And one is the 40 that wants to just kind of have their space and to be left alone. And, you know, you're happy to work, but on the other hand, it's nice to get your break as well. And then the gate 37 is all about an encouraging kind of sweet energy that says, can you go out and help us? And that type of thing. But again, they're oppositions, so they're very different. So what we have is somebody who potentially maybe you want to just kind of relax and not actually do the work. That could be what's happening. Or you could be in the other aspect of it, you know, having a lot of energy and wanting to get out there and wanting to do more and wanting to bring more for your family, for community, or whatever, for yourself. I mean, if your family is you, then it's about you as well. So it really is about understanding that there's a balance in everything. And yes, work is good, but also relaxation is important too, especially with will center energy, because we all have access to the will center this week, as well as anybody who has this opposition in their actual chart. So which means that we all have this ability to overwork ourselves, because a will center is something that it works and then it rests. And that's the way it works. It's like if you had a phone and you charged it up, it's not going to work forever. Eventually it's going to lose its charge and you have to recharge it. And that is exactly the same as a will center. So if you don't take the break and you don't get the charge, then your phone doesn't work anymore. And that's what happens with the will center. You have to have a break. Otherwise a break is made for you. So for the first part of the week, we do have, as I said, the willpower, but we also have Mercury, and Mercury's in the gate 46, which is always talking about, are we taking care of our body? Are we doing the things we need to support our body as much as we are for our spirituality? So Mercury is sort of reminding us, as much as we're working for the family, for community, for whatever it is, it's reminding us also to take care of ourselves and to take care of the temple for our soul, you could say. Venus is in the gate 57, which I talked about last week. And that is really talking about this idea of intuitive downloads. We're all having access to intuition. If you, in fact, have part of the integration circuit, which means that you have, like you could have one or all of them, the 34, the 10, the 57 as well as, and also the 20. If you have any of these energies in your body graph, then what this is like, the gate 57 is like a puzzle piece that clicks in and gives you the intuitive hits for things that are important to you, for your trajectory, for your kind of path to the future. So maybe it will give you that intel or that kind of guidance that you've been wondering, like you're not sure about something, but this will give that internal guidance to say, yes, this is where you should go, or that type of thing. But for the rest of us, we're all getting that download of information that Venus could be actually giving us. With Mars in the gate 47, we're talking about this idea that Mars is giving us those aha moments, because we got all these downloads. 64 is just before the 47. So that's interesting how you get the downloads, the abstract energy. And then the next time you get the gate 47, which comes in and says, we're going to help you put those pieces together so you have an idea of what it all means. So that is potential that we're going to be getting some downloads or those aha moments of Mars giving us that energy as well. But, you know, again, with Mars, we're always wondering, is it going to be something that is we're getting frustrated with? It's not happening quick enough, those types of things. So patience is key to get those intuitive downloads. But of course, Venus is not as impatient, and Venus is very comfortable in the gate 57. So giving us those intuitive hits. And this is very acoustic and very auditory. So it could be hearing something that's not quite right with what someone says, or hearing something that is right with what someone says. So that intuitive hit. Of course, we're always going to want to lean on our strategy and authority to get the right things for us, but it's just something to kind of keep in mind, that we do have that extra bit of intuition that we could have access to. That's going to be right up until September 2nd, when Venus moves into the gate 32. And so, like I said, everything kind of shifts after a couple of days, where eventually we're going to get into the new moon, but we're going to stick with the 4037, and that will shift on September 3rd. And as that happens, we have a lot of other shifts happening. We have Mercury going to move into the gate 18. Now, Mercury is actually slowing down because we do have a retrograde coming up in the next couple of weeks. Mercury will be going retrograde on the 27th of September, and I will talk about that when we get closer to it. So that's what's happening. Mercury is slowing down. It's going into the gate 18. And so it's only doing 2 gates this week as opposed to 3. The gate 18 is logical energy, is perfection. It's wanting to see perfection in the pattern. It's criticism, but it's criticism to improve a pattern. So in other words, if you have something like a car, for instance, and there's something that's not efficient in the car that can cause it to burn more gas or have more pollutants or something like that, you want to fix that. And that's the kind of energy that the gate 18 can be best at. But having said that, it can also be critical. It can also be about picking all the nitpicking and picking the things out about people, about yourself, trying to be perfect in your own self, and trying to get other people to be perfect. And so criticism is part of it. Now, when we have Mercury going in there, it could be this idea that Mercury sees and is talking about all these issues that we have, the things that are not just right, and wanting to have them fixed immediately. So that's something to keep in mind this week, that you may want to have everything sort of get fixed in a minute, or people might be critical, or you might be critical, to kind of be aware that that could be a potential. And the end of the day, whenever we have any kind of logical energy or anything that is from a projected channel, because 1858 is a projected channel, and it is something that is important when it's important. But again, it's also something that if it's not called out, then most times people are not going to take it in a beneficial way. In other words, waiting for somebody to say, what do you think about this? And then giving your input about what you think needs to be improved can help a lot. So that's the kind of energy that Mercury is going to bring. And September 2nd, we also have Venus moving into the gate 32. The gate 32 is endurance. It's the Ravi Ching line here is the only thing that endures is change. So what this heralds is change coming, things moving. Now, when we talk about Venus, we're talking about resources. It could be relationships. It could be those types of things that we are starting to see change. Since we know that the gate 32 is one of the splenic gates, it's also considered a fear gate. And this is a fear of not getting ahead. Although Venus is happy here, there's always potential for that overlying fear to actually, maybe I'm not going to make it. Maybe I'm not going to ever get where I want to go. Maybe I'm never going to become that thing I want to be. You also have Mercury kind of criticizing and saying, yeah, you're probably right. You're not good enough. So those are the energies that we may be working with. And so how can we shift that around, knowing that everything we do, especially with tribal energy, it's about a day by day thing. 1 foot in front of the other. Road of 1,000 miles begins with 1 step. I mean, those are the types of things that we have to keep in mind, that yes, we have ambitious dreams. Yes, we have big in dreams, but we have the endurance if we want to draw on it. And that's the key with this energy. And Venus will give us that kind of, that rub on the back, but it will also say, this is not worthwhile anymore for you to do. And this is, since that's something where you might be looking at, okay, do I need to change my path? Do I need to change my trajectory on where I want to go in the future? Is there something that is better for me than what I'm in right now? And those are the kinds of things that we're going to look at. Is the endurance worth it in this particular direction? Because if you're putting a lot of effort into something and it's just not going to bear fruit, and you kind of know that, but you just don't feel like you don't want to change because you just don't know. Usually when you've been putting a lot of energy and time into something, and you kind of have been getting messages or insights or some clarity to say that you kind of feel like it's not worthwhile anymore, and you kind of have to let go. Well, this might be the time to actually let go And then it doesn't mean let go of everything. It just means let go of something that isn't exactly right, and to kind of direct your energy into something that you know is probably going to work better for you. So if it's a relationship and you see all the signs that it may not be the right relationship for you, but you kind of just feel like, well, maybe they'll change, or maybe, something will change, or maybe next week it'll be better because of A, B, and C. This is saying that, you know, maybe it's time to look at something different. And endurance is very powerful energy, but it's also energy that if you're going to waste it on something that's actually not valuable to you, then it's of no value in the long run. On September 3rd, the sun and the earth are going to change. The sun will go into the gate 64, and the earth will go into gate 63, as well as Mars will be changing going into the gate 6. So we have a lot of shifting energy. We're moving away from the tribe. We're moving back into the collective. We're moving into logic and abstract. And we're also moving into tribal energy, where Mars is a very yang energy to start out with. And then you put it in this energy of the gate 6, there is potential for more of a push and a drive to get things resolved, to get conflicts resolved. But when we have Mars involved, they're not as diplomatic as something like, for instance, Venus would be, where the Venus is kind of, can we all sit around, talk, and kind of figure this out. Mars is more active, it's more pushing, and it's more of the general kind of energy where it's quick and precise, and the answers come with a lot of force, a lot of pressure, and many times a lot of speed. What this says is that you may want to resolve conflicts in your life with people, or in any types of conflicts that you have within your sphere. You may want to get them over and done with, get it finished, get it settled. But yet Mars may not actually have all the details to actually settle the conflict. This is an energy that will be connected to the gate 59, where you have this idea of breaking barriers and trying to look at this person's perspective and see where they're coming from. So remember that Mars may want to push the agenda and get things settled and just get it over with. But the reality is sometimes we need more information. Sometimes we just have to sit back and kind of get more ideas, more clarity on exactly how we want to work with this and go from there. So that's a key. It's a lot of yang energy, and the yang energy just continues this real masculine yang energy. Of course, it doesn't only just mean when I talk masculine, it's not just males. It is that kind of, we all have masculine and we all have feminine energy. And so this is going to be, as we get into as September 3rd comes, we're going to have more of that masculine kind of drive and push to get things settled. So we have conflicts in the world. We have a lot of things happening in the world. This is tribal energy. How are we going to just get this all settled in and fix it? That's the thing that you face with Mars, is that Mars wants a quick fix, but yet many conflicts that we have in the world and in our lives are something that takes more finesse and more time. And so this is just a reminder that driving ahead and forcing your agenda and deciding that needs to be fixed right now may not be the best path to tread this week. We also have, like I said, the sun is moving into the gate 64. From the Ray V. Ching, I really like this. It says, transition like birth requires a determined strength for the passage through. So we've been working with the gate 64. I've talked about it a lot, and it really is these big downloads of information, but it's not in sequence that we can understand. And so we're waiting for the next part of the puzzle, which is the gate 47, which the sun will be transiting next. That gives us the meaning of it all. That kind of puts everything together to give us the clarity. So we're having big downloads from, you could say, super consciousness, and it's downloads of the past, but now this could be a collective past. It doesn't have to be just our past, but it also could be our past, where we're looking at our life and we're figuring out parts of our life and the things that happened and kind of putting them in perspective and what it meant for us and kind of how it shifted us in this reality. The other perspective is that in the earth, then this is going to be, we're grounding into this. This is concretized. This is, in the Maya, this is doubt. This is suspicion. This is saying there's something happening here. I don't know what's happening. I'm getting anxiety because I don't know what the answers are. There's something that's happening. If you look at the whole perspective of in 2020, and we had all this, as soon as we get this A, B, and C, then D will completely unfold. And then A, B, and C happen, and D doesn't happen like everybody said. So in other words, there has been a lot of kind of answers that in the gate 4 that we've been having over the trajectory of this whole pandemic. And yet the answers are always are many times being proven to be not exactly as we expected, because we have to remember that the answers come from logic, and logic is not living. Logic is a trajectory or a projection into the future, but it doesn't mean it's going to be true. The only way we ever know if it's true is experiential. So you can say that everybody said this was going to happen, but this didn't happen. Did it mean that they were lying? It doesn't mean that they were lying. It means that they were projecting a pattern that didn't exactly work as it was said to have worked. So what's happening is the patterns are showing that they have flaws. We also have that with the gate 18, and it's the gate 18, Mercury in the gate 18 is saying, yeah, there are flaws, and it's pointing it out. And we're all looking at the flaws, and everybody's like, well, how come this is a problem? Why you said this was going to be this, and this is not happening? And I have issue with the fact that you've told this to me, and I'm suspicious of you now because you're not actually giving me the true story. But the reality is, it is not about the true story. It is about the projections that are not always going to be perfect, because we are human. We are fallible. And the only thing that we really know, we could have the best projections in the world, but until we are living those projections, then we will never really know. And that is where we have to live the projections, go back to the drawing board, reformulize to get new answers, new formalizations. And that's what the gate 63 is all about. But having said that, that's the high side. That doesn't mean that we're not going to have a lot of people suspicious and doubtful and questioning everything that's happening, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as we don't get so wrapped in the pressure of it all. Because remember, as soon as we have the earth and the sun moving, we also have all 3 of the head gates going to be activated. We have 61, Pluto's in 61. We have the sun and the earth in the 64 and the 63. This is a gate, all gates of the head center, and a lot of pressure to figure it out. And that is where we have to give ourselves a break, disentangled from it. If we can do something physical, that's really good, because anything that's physical is going to take us out of our thoughts and make us concentrate on our body, or something creative, or something that we're actually doing that we can't actually think about all those suspicions or those unanswered questions, or the downloads we get and we can't figure out what they mean. Instead, we're actually using our body, and we're expressing we're letting our body do the work, and our mind is kind of having to go along with our body type of thing, to listen to what our body's doing, as opposed to having its own little agenda, because we all know that our minds can get ahead of us, and we have a lot of things that we can get wrapped up in. And this week is going to be a big week for that to potentially happen. September 4th, I thought it was the 5th because of the way the ephemeris is set up. It'll usually just kind of carry over to the next one because it's a UTC time. But anyhow, September 4th, we have a big nodal shift, and we're moving from the 16.9 into 2034. Now, I talked about this in the last week's transit report. So if you want even more information about the nodes, you can check it out. What's going to happen, though, is it is the actual road we're walking on. So it is September 4th that we're going to get this sudden shift of really the road that the world has been walking on. We're moving completely from a very logical road that we're walking, very patterned, looking for the patterns, the clarity, the focus, because it was focus, which is the 9, the focus and the enthusiasm, this need for getting new skills, all those kind of things that we're doing to kind of project a better future for us, right? So we focus on what we could have better in the future, focus on the new skills that could bring us something better in the future. Now we're moving into pure individual energy. This is the most powerful energy of the whole body graph. This is power and charisma. Now, the gate 20 is all about seeing things in the now. Suddenly we open up and we see the world around us, and we don't like, or we do like what we see in the world or in our world, and we want to change it. And we have the power with the gate 34 to change it. So we want to just get it changed immediately. That's potential. Of course, we're not all manifesting generators. The thing about the full channel of the 3420, which we will have, because this is not only an opposition, but it's also a full channel, is that it's a manifesting generator channel that acts a lot like a manifester. when you're actually not listening to your strategy, you can actually want to act like a manifester. So we could have a lot of people trying to be manifestors out there, and trying to actually make things happen, to initiate, to get things done. And is that going to work out? That is where we get ourselves into situations that we're putting a lot of time and effort and power into, but we're actually not getting the results potentially. And that's not worth it for us. Because if you have energy, you want to direct it in something that you're actually going to get something back. So there's potential for us to be walking around as manifestors. There's potentials for us to be being manifesting generators. And if that's the case, now, if you're not a manifesting generator, there is potential to get burnt out when you're pushing yourself too hard. And so if that's not your energy type and you're taking all this power and you're just trying to drive ahead with it, there's potential for you to get burnt out. So this is where we're saying, yes, you might have access to more power, but you also have to remember who you are and to live by who you are and use the power if you can. That it's not your energy, all the time, and to work with it, and then to also take your break. This is going to be clicked on all the time. So it's something to really keep in mind. If you normally have an open sacral, to see how is actually working for you. If you have a non-motorized throat, then you can experiment with that as well. I would love to say that I have all the answers to how it's going to work for everybody, but unfortunately I don't. The only way you're going to find the answers for you is to actually work with this energy, figure it out. But it's a great opportunity because it's a long time. So this is going to be in play until January 2022. Now, some people will love it, some people will hate it, and some people will be right in the middle. The whole point of this is to understand that the energy is going to shift. Wait for the shift. See if you can feel into it. I mean, I think this is an incredible opportunity where we have such a big shift in the energy to actually kind of tap in. And what does it feel like for you? So especially anybody who has an integration circuit, any of those gates that I talked about, especially with that, then it's going to be something that is even more impactful for your life to in some way shift your reality. So you're seeing things in a different way or feeling things in a different way. And then finally, on September 6th, we have a brand new moon, because we know that the nodes are connected to the moon. And we also know that it's going to be brand new nodes, which is kind of ushering in a brand new environment that we're all going to be walking in. So it's highlighting that aspect of something being brand new, a new birth, a rebirth, you could say. So the new moon is kind of ushering in pressure to figure things out. So that's something that we have to keep in mind. But it's also going to be in the fourth line. What that means is that it's going to be in our social circle. We're going to find the answers to what we want to kind of figure out in our social circle, or the people. It's not going to be alone. In other words, the way we are going to get the clarity from the gate 64 and the Lion 4 is through other people. It's not just going to be something that we're going to figure out on our own. We're going to maybe potentially get aha moments from other people. Suddenly we're with some people in a group and we just kind of get that epiphany. Somebody will just say something and it'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That kind of gave me that clarity that I didn't know that I didn't know was ever going to come. And then suddenly it just comes. So that's what it's talking about. The other perspective, if we allow it, we can actually be guided to the idea or the concept that we actually know that the answers will come to us. We have that in kind of that inner instinct or that inner feeling that, yes, even though I don't have the answers now, even though I don't know what this all means, even though I don't have that knowing the answers to those questions, because remember, like I said, 61, 63, 64, all the head gates are activated. It's all about understanding that even though you may not have all the information you need, that it will come. It will come in time. And if you have the patience to be able to wait for the time when it will kind of give you those moments of clarity, then they will come. And just in having that security to know, the reality is that Pluto is going to making its last pass in the gate 61. So it will eventually transform the gate 61, and it will bring with it that inner knowing that will be transformed in some way. And the gate 63 and the line 4 is this pressure to figure things out, to find out those new formulas that you may want to check out to actually get a better pattern, but also to understand that there's no rush. There's no need to just jump ahead, that eventually you'll be able to figure it out. But again, it's not this jumping ahead. So there is this potential to have the doubts, have the suspicions, have the questions, have this need to know the answers, but also have the patience to have the patience. The patience will be given to you. Whether or not you're going to accept it is another story. So it is there for you to take. And if you want to take it, you can. And if you don't want to, that's another story altogether. You can do that as well. We always have a choice. But that's what this new moon is telling us. We will have a lot of changes, a lot of unanswered questions that the answers will come in time. Do we have the patience, the resilience, and the composure to actually wait for the answers to come in time? And with the Mercury moving into the gate 48 at the same time, we're talking about going to the depth, finding even more information. So in other words, it's reminding us to wait, to get more information, to understand that we may see something that doesn't look right, but that doesn't mean it's the truth yet. Let's figure it out when we get more answers, to actually go to the depth to figure it all out. And I will leave with the one thing that the gate 63 is active in this energy because it is the earth is in the gate 63 at the new moon type of thing. It's in the 63 line 4. And I just like to talk about it because that's what we're seeing in the actual world related to the new moon. What it does say is that in the spiral of life, all ends are beginnings. So that's the whole reality of what we're looking at. It may feel like it's the end, and maybe things are ending, but in the long run, it's a new beginning at the same time. And that's it for the transits. I hope you enjoyed them, and I will be back again next week. And please let me know if you like this format better. And it's more of a flow energy rather than just going linear. I hope you have a wonderful week and a wonderful new moon. And keep an eye out for the nodes on September 4th and when they shift. And let's have a great week. Take care. Bye for now.